Hey guys, welcome back. So, in our last video, we have understood three concepts. First is flex direction. Second is what is main axis and what is cross axis. The main axis and cross axis will change based on direction. So, if the flex direction is set to row, main axis will be row, cross axis will be its opposite. Flex direction is set to column, main axis will also be column, cross axis will be just opposite. Now, let's see the implementation here. All right, coming back to our Elementor editor here, let me just remove one container. This is our container, right? So if you select this container here, as soon as you select it here, you will get few options on the left under layouts tab. First is container and second is additional option. Here you can close this additional option for now, and under container here, the things that we need to focus is first is content width boxed, and here we can set it to whichever width we want. Let's say I'll set it to 1000 pixels, and minimum height, let's say we'll keep it 500 pixels. Okay, so that we get an ample room for testing our containers flow. Fine, so the minimum height is set, and just to easily identify our container, let me select this whole container and click on style and keep some background color so that it is easily visible to us, so to understand what exactly is happening in the container. Perfect, so this is it. Now coming back to layouts, here if you scroll down, this is clear, content width and minimum height is clear, right? So if you scroll down here, you have got something called as items. What is items here being referred to is whatever containers or sections or columns, we will not use the term sections and columns anymore. We'll use the term called as containers. Whatever containers we, or let's say even containers and widgets, whatever widgets we'll be adding it inside this one is generally called as items. Either the item can be container or item can be just these widgets, right? Ready-made widgets that we have. All right, select again and come back. Under items, we have first property called as direction. In our last video, we have very clearly understood what exactly this direction is and how it affects main axis and cross axis. Just keep that in your mind, right? Now, once that is done, we'll see what exactly these options are in a while, but then we'll see. Before that, we'll just go through these options, other options. Second thing is we have justify content property, right? And third property is align content property. And then we have gaps and wrap. Perfect. So in order to explain you what exactly this is, what I'll do is I'll try to create few items inside it. Now, items might be direct elements or container itself. So let me add few containers. One container. So I'll just give some background color so that it will easily visible. Okay, and now let's duplicate it. Before that, let's say we'll select this particular container and we'll make it full width and change its width to pixels, and in pixels I'll make it, let's say 150 pixels or 200 pixels. Okay, this is fine. So first item that I have added is 200 pixels of width, right? This container. Okay, and now let me simply duplicate it. As soon as you duplicate it, it got added here in the bottom. Anyways, we'll see that later on. But before that, if I open this notepad that we have created yesterday in our last video, flex direction row, main axis row, cross axis column. So in this video, we are going to learn about flex direction row. So if you select again this container, if you select this container and if you scroll down here, as I said, for every container that you will be using here onwards, you need to assign the direction. And in this video, we are going by default, what will happen by default, flex direction column will be assigned. But for now, in this video, we are going to learn flex direction row. So what we need to do, we need to select this container and assign it as a row. Okay. So what exactly happened here is the items that I'm adding is just getting aligned besides, right? So what does this exactly mean is whenever you make the flex direction row, right? Whenever you make this flex direction row, items will be added in the same direction. Items will be getting added in rows. If you set direction to column or vertical, then items will get added vertically. If, let's say if I click on vertical, then sorry, I'll select this whole container. And if I select the direction to be vertical, the item will be added in vertical as well. But here in this video, we are going to explore the options of row, in the sense horizontal. So if I set direction horizontal, if you refer here, if I set direction horizontal or say row, then main axis will be horizontal. Here, first thing that we here observed is as soon as you set direction horizontal, items will be added horizontally, right? This is clear. If the direction is vertical, then items will be added vertically. If the direction is set horizontal, items will be added horizontally. This part is clear. Okay, now coming to second part. If the direction is set to horizontal, if the direction is set to row, then what will happen? There are two assumptions that we need to understand. As soon as you set flex direction to row or horizontal, main axis will be horizontal and cross axis will be vertical. Okay, so main axis and cross axis. So direction is horizontal, so main axis is horizontal, vertical is cross axis. Perfect. So how is that important here? If you scroll down, there is this property called as justify content. So justify content property always work with main axis. Justify content. Justify content will always work with main axis. And what is cross axis? If you scroll here, align items property. This align items property will always work with cross axis. I'll show you what exactly this is, right? So by now you understood that as soon as we set direction to horizontal, items will be getting added horizontally, and we have two assumptions, that is main axis will be horizontal, cross axis will be vertical. So justify content will always work on main axis, align items will always work on cross axis. How we can make use of this concept to align our items inside this particular container? Let's go ahead and see. So if you select this whole container again, this align items by default, this option is selected and this option is selected by default. So what will we do is I'll remove it. I'll click on start. So now what happened? If you see align items here, we can align items vertically by using this option. See here, let's just pay attention here. Align items work on cross axis and cross axis is vertical here. Vertical axis is cross axis. Okay, so if vertical axis is a cross axis and align items property will work only on cross axis, in the sense this align items is property is deciding whether these items should be on top, center or bottom. See, top, center or bottom. You got my point? If you select stretch, it will select to complete width, height, sorry, complete height of this particular section. But then cross axis is vertical and align items property will always work with cross axis. So align item here in this example will decide whether the items will be on top, center or bottom. Okay. Now you will say like, let's say if you say that you don't want these items to be here, you want the items to be center aligned here. Even if it is bottom, it's fine, but it has to be center aligned. It, as you can see, it is aligned on the left side, right? So left side of the screen. So I want these items to be on the center of the screen. So what we will do is we need these items to be aligned horizontally as well. So which is the axis that is horizontal here? The axis that is horizontal here is main axis, and main axis can be the items can be aligned with main axis by using the property called as justify content. So to align these three containers horizontally, you need to use justify content, right? So if you see here, start, center, end, space between, space around, and space evenly. These are the three extra options, but then you need to focus on these first three: center and end, right? So what justify content is doing? Justify content is working with main axis. Here the main axis is horizontal, so justify content is working with horizontal axis in order to align these items horizontally. What is align items are doing? Align items property is working with cross axis, which is vertical, in order to align these items vertically, right? So what will we do if what do we do if we want to bring these items here on top right corner? First thing is I need to align items vertically in the sense cross axis is align item, so I'll take it to the top. I'll take it to the top here, right? And then again I need to bring it to the top right side, right? So horizontal axis I need to align. So horizontal axis is nothing but main axis, and main axis is is being controlled by this property called justify content. So I'll select this, and now right top right side contents are aligned. So if I want to align content, align these items in the center, right center, just center. So what I'll do, I'll select here center. This works. Justify content will work in the main axis, align items will work with cross axis, and here we go, we got perfectly center aligned containers. Inside these we can add images, text, whatever it is, right? But then you clearly understood what is direction, justify content, and align items. Now everything will change. Everything, this two role will be reversed if I select the direction. If I change the direction, it will get reversed. So that we will see in our next video. But for now, you understood that first thing that you need to understand is what is the parent container. The parent container is the direction of this parent container is horizontal row, right? Row. So what does that mean? Every item that I will be adding, it will get added on the horizontal axis, on the main axis. So if you set flex direction to row, or if you set flex direction to horizontal, then main axis is horizontal. Then if you need to align these, change these change this position of these containers, then horizontally, then you need to use justify content property, right? See, center and cross axis is vertical, and if you need to align these items vertically, then you need to use this property called as align items top, center, bottom, right? And this is completely different if you change the direction, and we will change direction in our next video, and I'll show you exactly how to work with the containers whose direction is flex direction set to row, sorry, set to column or vertical. Okay, we'll see that in next video, but for now let's see other two options. First is gap and second is wrap. Gap is, as you know, if we have more items here, and the space between these items can be increased or decreased based on, if I set to 0, there won't be any space between rows and columns. But if I have more than one row and if I want to add some gap, then definitely I'll make use of these two options here, right? I'll set it to 10. Perfect. So this gap is clear, right? And coming to the last option, that is wrap. All right. So right now we have this box. container, technically speaking, child container, right? The size is 200 pixels, right? And what's the main container, the parent container size? It's 1000 pixels. How many boxes, how many containers can this particular width contain? Let's say around 5 maybe. So if I say, if I add more container here, 1 2 3 4 5 into 200, it's nothing but 1000. But there is a gap as well, but it doesn't it is not changing anything, right? I'll go ahead and add one more container. But there is this strange thing here. If you observe, you might say that, hey, Rakesh, you set these containers width to 200 pixels, but then you go ahead, you're just going on and adding more and more containers, and the size of this main parent container is just 1000 pixels. And how is this working? For that, you need to understand how responsive our system is already by default. This Flexbox container, which is brought by Elementor, is already responsive. It is not 200 pixel here, because see, if it is 200 pixels, then there is only boxes, 5 containers that can hold in one line, right? And then also we have certain gap in between, 10 pixel 10 pixel around, right? So around, just we can just have accommodate 4 boxes or 4 containers, 4 child containers. But then we have 5 6 7 containers. It is, what it is doing is, it is getting shrinked, or it is getting responsive, or it is getting adjusted to the screen size. It is not exactly 200 pixels. But if there is a requirement of a design where you want a very strict dimension, then what you need to do is first select this whole parent container and go back here, and here you have this option called as wrap, and by default this is the option selected. So what we will do is, we'll select no wrap in order to make sure that each box width is 200 pixels. Then what will happen now is, if you have the boxes that are going outgrowing this parent container in one row, then it will take up another row, right? Simple, as simple as that. If you don't do it, it will just get adjusted to in a single row. It's as simple as that, right? So what if we want to align all these on the top left? What will we do? Simply select this container and play around with justify content and align items. Now, you might say that why you are just focusing on justify content, and whenever you're trying to explain justify content, you're always bringing the concept of main axis, and whenever you're trying to explain align items, you're trying to bring the concept called as cross axis, and it is just confusing. You might say that, but yes, I understand that it is, I'm explaining more, but then trust me, everything will get confused once you watch our next video, because these behavior will change, because you cannot just assume that justify content will just change items from left to right, because in our next video justify content, the same property will be used to align items top, center and bottom, and align items property will be used to change the position from left, right and center. So for that, the anchor is main axis and cross axis. You need to, if you clearly understand what exactly this main axis and cross axis is, you will have no doubts at all. See, everything will depend upon a container's direction. So container direction is horizontal, right? So horizontal is the container direction. If container direction is horizontal, the main axis is horizontal. If main axis is horizontal, whenever you want to change position based on horizontal axis, then you need to use justify content property. And the cross axis is vertical axis, right? Cross axis is vertical axis here for our case. So whenever you want to change position of any items that are inside this container vertically, then you need to make sure you work with align items property. Perfect. So I want all these boxes to be aligned on a top left. So what I'll do, first thing is, I'll bring it to the left and then go to the start, and I'll change it to 0, right? and maybe I'll have to reduce the size, or I'll just remove it. That's it. All items are, there is no gap between these boxes, right? So this is how we can make use of containers, child containers, and change width of these child containers, minimum height, direction, justify content, align items, gap, and wrap. These are the things that we have learned here. So, and yeah, we'll see in next video. We'll use this same container, but we will change direction. As soon as we change direction, the role, the working process with justify content and align item will get reversed. So I'll show you with example. So this is it for this video, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.